Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are now with Dave Ellefson, bassist for Diet. Well, Dave, thank you very much for joining. Congrats for your brand new album, which is going to be released on June the 2nd by Napalm Records. Well, first of all, Dave, tell me what was the genesis of this band? I mean, how did the idea of starting the band come about?
Well, it all started over a song, which was in the Hall of the Hanging Serpents that we put out last summer.
Yeah.
And I was introduced to Guilherme and Michal an email by a mutual friend of mine, Christian Lawrence, who plays in a band called Dead by Wednesday. They were on my Combat Records. So I put out a record for them. And Christian hit me, I think it was January of last year, 2022. And he just, connected us on an email, and Guilherme sent me the song. I went in the studio, recorded it, we mixed it, went, wow, pretty good. And we were excited because obviously I was starting, the next phase of my musical journey. Guilherme, the same after Entombed AD, and same for Michal after Decapitated. So it was kind of like the universe found three brothers and connected us from the United States, Poland, and Guilherme is kind of between Brazil, Lisbon, and Sweden. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can't explain it. It's just a beautiful moment of three dudes getting together and kind of like-minded and ready to go frickin' take on the world again.
Okay. So that was one of my questions, because you listen when you listen to the whole album, Hell and Back, you listen a mix of cultural influences. What I mean is, for example, you listen Swedish death metal, you listen American thrash metal, you have some kind of certain jazzy group in one of the songs. I mean, Free Us All. So
Right.
you feel that culture mixes in this new material? You personally feel it?
For sure. I mean, in fact, it's why we've based the band out of Gdansk, Poland. It's where our drummer Michal lives.
Yeah.
And Guilherme also is there a lot. He does some work with MLC Amplification. He's one of their artists. He does some artist relations work for them. So that's why that became our center, and it's where we it's where we basically reside as a band. So I like going there. I mean, I was just there last week.
Yeah.
Walking down the streets of Gdansk, seeing the manhole covers, that say Gdansk. And I just think about, that was, under Germany, it was Danzig, and it was where World War II started. I mean, so for me as an American, to be, we've never experienced those things here. For here, it's just been all, except for 9/11 and maybe the Civil War 200 years ago. I've known only peaceful things in my lifetime. So to go to these far distant places like Gdansk and to really be in the fabric of the history, to me, man, that really is a big part of what Diet is.
Okay, Dave. So for you, Diet is like a refreshing point, a refreshing and a starting point, a rebirth in your career. And what I was noticing is that you're also raising your musical level, because it is not easy to play technical death metal. You agree?
I completely agree. In fact, at rehearsal last week, we were
Yeah.
in the room, and the tuning is very different. Fortunately, the tuning is in down to C, and it's
You
interesting
drop
because
to,
we drop, but it's funny. I use a 5-string bass, and I tune up a half step, so I go from B up to C, which makes the bass really sing. When you start dropping guitars in tunings, they get very upset. They don't like it. They get really weird. And so for me to actually tune the instrument up to meet a dropped guitar tuning was really kind of a cool. We have a great sound in the room as a band, and you can hear the pitch. For me, singing, the key of C is a perfect pitch for my vocal range. So it's why the singing is very comfortable for me in the band. I think that's another big part of this is it isn't just musical, it's also the vocal stuff. I have a lot of lyrical contribution with the songs. So, you know, for me, it's I think it's a full use of all of my musical faculties. I'm not just the bass player in a new band.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that. So, for example, one of the songs, Walk With Me Forever, is a beautiful ballad that you
Right.
sing. So, can you tell me a little bit about this
Yeah,
track?
it's in fact we just shot the music video for it at the end of March, just about a month ago, while I was over there. And again, we shot it up in a town just north of Gdansk called Gdynia, and beautiful city right on the Baltic Sea. You know, again, just I look out my hotel window and I just go, man, the boots that have walked these streets, you know, what these people have been through over all the thousands of years of, you know, of the and more of this land, you know, and the
Yeah,
cultural and the fights and the political and everything. I mean, I feel like a kid in kindergarten learning about all this kind of stuff, you know. So you know, so I love the history lesson that I get out of it. But the song, you know, being that setting, you know, it's very stylized with actors. It'll be coming out here in a few weeks. It's I wrote the storyline for it actually. It's sort of a kind of a cool twist on the lyric. You know, it's fun. You know, you have a point where you wrote the lyric, and I think was to write a successful lyric, it not only tells an interesting story for the listener, but the listener somehow finds themselves in that lyric. And I
yeah,
think that's what makes the lyric relatable across all nationalities and languages and cultures. And I think it's also what makes a lyric become a timeless story. So I think we hit on that on everything on the album, and Walk With Me Forever, you know, we took a chance on doing essentially a ballad on our first album because I think it sets the pace that for the records to follow now, the scope is this wide. You know, we didn't just go, we're fucking death thrash metal and it's here, right? You know, because then if album two we drop a ballad, they'll go, those guys, they fucked them, they sold out. You know what I mean? So we
yeah,
figured, you know what, let's just be musical right from the beginning. Let's just open the floodgates and see what comes in, and everything we brought in seemed to fall inside of this range that can be Dieth, that it doesn't just have to be so narrow.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, Diet on the album itself has some kind of message that sometimes you have to die inside to be reborn. So I
Yeah.
think that concept is very important to keep in mind, especially of what is happening all around the world and the pandemic that we all have been struggling. So we need to die and reborn. It's like a Buddhist reflection. Do you agree?
Yeah, it is. It's a Christian, it's a Buddhist, it's a
Mm-hmm.
universal,
Yeah,
non-religious view. It happens anytime a relationship ends. There has to be a period of mourning, of really just feeling what that meant to you in your life, and then being able to go let go of it. I mean, I've been through it, you know, sort of the five stages of grief as the Kubler-Ross, you know, that book, you know, she wrote, and I don't know if there were exactly five, but there's sort of these emotions of loneliness and anger and frustration and anger and sadness and all these things. And you know, I think we captured that with the video that just came out yesterday with "Don't Get Mad, Get Even." You know that there's a lot of transition that
contrast.
goes through this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Contrast is a perfect
yeah.
word for it because you know that's how we are as humans. You know, one day we're happy, and then we're sad, and then finally we get to a point where we're free of it, you know, and we can move on and you know that is the universal Dieth message, and I think that again makes it relatable to all people, metal fans or not. That you know you have to let the old life die off, and it has to go away in order to in order to, you know, and sometimes you don't have to let go of the person. Sometimes it's the same person. You just start a new friendship, a new relationship with that person. That can happen too. You know, it doesn't have to be this total ripping everything apart. But sometimes old ideas and old ways of thinking and doing things, you know, they just sometimes they're taken from us. You know, we have no say in the matter. You know, you know, obviously I went through a transition with a previous band. You know, it's very public, and I think for me, you know, again, I took some time to just kind of mourn that and let that go, but at the same time, I was always busy working on new things, and Dieth was one of the things that was kind of working in the background. And when we dropped in the Hall of the Hanging Serpents last year, I think people were like, fuck yeah, man, David Ellison's back. Yeah. You know, like he's not laying down, he's not taking any shit. He's fucking standing up and you know, coming correct at life again. And you know, there's a Japanese saying: if you fall down 7 times, you get up 8. You know what I mean? It's, you know, fall down 7, get up 8, as they say, right? So I think that's a big part of, you know, the only way to fail is to quit. You know, if you quit, you're out. So it's just, you know, I love playing music. I like playing music with friends. I consider the Dieth guys to be friends. And that's why, you know, I'd rather go through hell and back with my friends. It's more fun, you know?
Yeah. And I think that you have to know the darkness to embrace the light. So regarding that, I find a connection between the first track, To Hell and Back, which sounds dark, and Severance, the final one, which sounds brighter and remind me some kind of Led Zeppelin stuff. It's like the yin and the yang, some contrast between dark and light.
I'm glad you saw that, because when we had the Severance track, and by the way, Mihal, our drummer, named it as that, which I thought was great, because we start with To Hell and Back. There's this struggle. You're going through this. The whole album, it's not, we didn't write it as a concept album, but it kind of is a concept album. It's very conceptual. You go through this transition. You know, you hit this soft spot with, you know, Walk With Me Forever. You got Free Us All, and then you come back out with Dead Inside and you know, Mark of Cain, and then you end with Hall of the Hanging Serpents, and it's strong. It ends fucking strong with, you know, it's funny that the last song in the record, before Severance, is In the Hall of the Hanging Serpents, and that was the first song we ever dropped. And so it's kind of these bookends, and then Severance is sort of this, yep, we've cut the cord. You know, we are truly fucking free, and you know, we wish you well. You know, as you drift off, as you go separate ways. You know, and I like it. I love albums that have the reprise. I think the first time I ever heard it was a Heart album when I was a kid. It was a Dreamboat Annie, their debut album. They had this thing on there called Reprise. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is it? You know, and I listened to it, and you know, so I love that concept that an album ends with the same sort of marching. It marches away the same way it marched in, you know. And but you're right, Severance has a much lighter. It's almost like, the freaking baggage is gone. You know what I mean? It's like, after we went through this whole journey of the record that we took you on, by the time we got to the end, it's like, yes, it's light. It puts a smile on your face.
It's
at
like
the end of the record.
Heal, release, and fuck off, everybody.
Totally, exactly. There's always a fuck off in there. That's why the beginning, when the video director had me put that on the back of my bass, I was like, you know, I think it's about time David Ellison starts saying "fuck you" once in a while. You know what I mean? So I don't have to be the good Dave, the nice Dave, because that was always the contrast in the other band, is that the good Dave and the bad Dave. And I was like, you know what? Shed that fucking skin too. I don't have to be that. That role is over. You know, I don't have to be in that role anymore, and I can just fucking be me. You know, and you know, and it's freeing to just finally just really be yourself. You know, and not have to play those roles anymore.
Okay. Dave, last 2 or 3 questions. Well, you have 2 shows scheduled there in Poland, and you're going to play with the Spanish band Angelus Apatrida. So what about the tour? Any chance to have you guys in Finland playing?
Sure, 100%. You know, this is just the beginning. Because of the record coming out in June, to sort of downbeat right at the beginning of the festival season, we're playing a handful of the festivals because a lot of these things are already, they booked these things back in October. You know, but so we're thankful to be on a handful of them, as well as the Polish shows to just kick things off and get things fired up. And yeah, now the phone's ringing, you know, especially as the videos are coming out and people are now getting familiar with the band. They hear it, they see it. So yeah, it's a strategy, right? It's like you first you kind of hear and see the band, and then you get to experience the live show. You get to see what it is in that regard. So it's all kind of laying itself out real nice, and then there'll definitely be more stuff, you know, following these summer dates for sure.
Okay. Well, talking back about the tones, the Mark of Cain is one of the most complex songs in the album.
Yeah.
What is the song about? What can you tell me about it?
Well, it's just that of Cain from the Bible, you know, the mark of Cain. It's, I know it is brutal. It is a super fast, very complex. It's and you know, yet there's a simplicity when it hits the chorus, you know, that's really direct and it's really clear. It's almost singable. It's a sing along part almost, but yeah, the whole story is about, you know, the story of you know, of Cain, you know, and Guilherme wrote the lyric. I remember when we were singing it, I was just like, fuck, dude, this is so good, man. I mean, just relentlessly heavy. And you know, and you're right about that. You know, you know, this has been some of the more complex music to play for me. Especially because when you meet a new writing partner, like you know, I have in Guilherme, you know, he puts his hands on the fingerboard in different places than what I've been doing over my career, right? So you know, we fortunately we both have the skill to be able to you know, to play each other's music, but as we're creating a new sound together, some of it is about not bringing some of your past in. Some of it's about going, yeah, I don't need that now. You know, I don't need that here. And you can set that aside and embrace this new sound, which was, you know, largely driven initially from Guilherme, you know, and he really set the tone of what the style of this music is going to be. And I like it. I think it's cool. I think he's got a great voice on the guitar. He's obviously got a great voice, you know, for as far as his singing goes. And so I've really enjoyed, you know, learning what Michal and Guilherme have been doing in their genre. And you know, maybe probably partly influenced from my era, what they did with it, and now together we get to create something new. And I think that's a beautiful thing as a musician, especially as a professional. You don't always get that second chance to do that, you know, and I feel like we're all getting to have that, and it gets to be our united voice together now finally.
Yeah, you have raised the bar, Dave. You have raised the bar. Well, Dave, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. It was an honor for me to chat with you. And again, congrats for your brand new album, To Hell and Back. Hope to see you back on the road with the band in Finland. Well, take care.
Thank you very much, everyone. See you, man.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.